So for our deep dive today, we have got our hands on this document that is just a perfect time capsule.
It really is.
It's a transcript. It's titled NostalgiAI Live, April 1980, The Pop Culture Report.
And it's basically a conversation between these two friends, Dave and Johnny, and they're just trying to make sense of everything that's happening.
Yeah, and you get this real feeling that the world can't decide if it's still the 70s or if the 80s have actually started yet.
It's the exact tipping point.
Yeah.
April 1980. You can feel that friction in everything they talk about.
Okay, so let's start with movies, because that seems to be the clearest example. The Oscars had just happened.
Right, April 14th.
And Dave is going on and on about Kramer versus Kramer winning Best Picture. He calls it a tearjerker.
Which is such a 70s new Hollywood thing, these grounded, heavy dramas about real life.
He also mentions Sissy Spacek in Coal Miner's Daughter. You know, that gritty biopic performance.
But then you have Johnny.
Johnny doesn't care at all.
He completely dismisses it. He's not interested in a divorce drama. He's obsessing over a poster he saw.
For The Empire Strikes Back. He mentions the terrifying Darth Vader image.
And that people were lining up just to rewatch the original Star Wars again. This is the moment cinema, with a capital C, becomes movies.
Yeah, I think that's it. The Academy is rewarding this meaningful, realistic art.
But the culture, the actual people, had already moved on. Johnny is the future. It's the birth of the summer blockbuster.
You see that same sort of identity crisis in the music they're listening to.
Oh, absolutely.
The report flags Blondie's Call Me, hitting #1. And Dave is just confused by it. He calls it a weird mix of disco and new wave.
Because it was. That's Giorgio Moroder's synth production, meeting Debbie Harry's punk attitude. It is the sound of the 70s ending and 80s synth pop being born.
And you contrast that with the other huge song on their radio.
Pink Floyd.
Another brick in the wall. Johnny says his little brother is singing "We Don't Need No Education" to his teachers.
It feels like the last great, rebel yell of 70s classic rock before the synthesizers completely took over.
It's rebellion fighting against polish. And speaking of new things, the best part is their reaction to new tech.
This is the part that made me laugh out loud.
The Sony Walkman TPS L2. Dave is sort of amazed you can walk around with your own music.
But Johnny hates it.
He calls it a brick on your belt. He asks who would want to be isolated like that.
Which is just so ironic, right? He couldn't see past the clunky form factor to understand the need for, a personal soundtrack.
But for a guy who hates bricks, he's obsessed with a different cube.
The Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, it had just arrived from Hungary, and Johnny admits he's been trying to solve just one side for 3 hours. It's that moment. It went from a math puzzle to a global eviction.
It's the perfect contrast. He rejects the digital isolation of the Walkman for this very tactile physical puzzle.
And that skepticism that this doesn't fit, it even shows up in sports.
With Magic Johnson.
The NBA playoffs are starting, and they're talking about this rookie, Magic. And Dave points out that a guy who is 6'9" should not be playing point guard.
And you have to remember, in 1980, that was a huge deal. Big men stood under the basket. The idea of a guy that tall handling the ball was as alien as the Walkman.
He literally says he doesn't think he can win a championship.
Exactly. It shows how rigid all these roles were before the 80s just kind of blew everything up.
And while sports were changing, TV was what everyone shared.
A monoculture.
Yeah, the Who Shot JR mystery on Dallas was everywhere. Yeah. Johnny's mom is obsessed with it.
And MSH is still huge. It shows that even with inflation, they mention a Big Mac costs $1.50 people. Still found comfort in those shared stories.
So when you look at April 1980 through their eyes, it's not just a list of events. It really is a tug of war.
It's Coal Miner's Daughter versus Empire Strikes Back. Pink Floyd versus Blondie.
And the key to it all is that skepticism. They doubt the very things that are about to define the future. And that's the thought I want to leave you with. Johnny mocked the Walkman as a brick that would never catch on because it just looked clunky. It makes you ask, what revolutionary tech are we looking at right now, rolling our eyes at, that's going to be running our lives in 10 years?
Usually it's the thing that looks the weirdest.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.